Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. Today, I wanted to go over the struggle that anxious and fearful avoidants have with a dismissive or fearful leaning. Dismissive avoidant, this could work with secure as well, but it's much more prominent with those who are fearful avoidant or anxious. And fearful avoidant, typically they're going to lean anxious. Doesn't always have to be the case, but this is really for anyone who's with an avoidant, particularly dismissive avoidant or fearful leaning dismissive. And I think this is really important because if you're noticing some of these signs, it means that you have to focus a little bit more on self-care and not taking what your partner is doing personally because it's affecting you. That's the main reason I'm making this video, because I noticed this with a lot of you guys. And I want to share a little bit about the background, not as a therapist, I am one and a doctoral student, but a lot of you guys ask about my mom because she is anxious and was married to a dismissive avoidant, which is my dad. And I believe that relationship affected her self-worth. She always had really low self-esteem from what I've heard from her siblings and her parents. She's always had like pretty low self-esteem. But it got way worse because she took a lot of things my dad did personally when it wasn't personal at all. He was like that with his family, which if you ask his, sister and all the people in his life, he was always like this. So it had nothing to do with her. She took it really, really personally. Her self-esteem got really bad. She became really needy, as a lot of people call it, really emotional, incredibly emotional. It really affected a lot of her children, me being one of them. I became even more detached because she was incredibly emotional, and my dad was very high expecting of me. My mom was expecting of me, but she was also really emotional. So I became really detached as well, which made her react even more poorly. And then those traits that she had, siblings picked up. And so now the family is like divided. And then when they got divorced, it became even more divided because there's my personality type, and then more closer like my mom's personality type. And it's obviously the attachment issues. And I feel like if my mom knew that these struggles are common with people who are with avoidance, she didn't have this understanding or knowledge at that time, it probably would have helped her to not take it so personally and basically affect so many people around her, and my dad as well. But I don't think he took the marriage as personally. He was extremely detached from it. Almost entirely. So his issue is a little different. He has to look at it a different way. He probably affected his kids, but not so much how he perceived himself. But the first one is you feel like something is wrong with you because you tend to blame yourself, and your partner is unwavering in their emotions, so they display no guilt on their side. This one was really common in my parents' dynamic, and I see it a lot in couples therapy as well. You'll see one person who's typically like really anxious or fearful, leaning anxious, and they're very much comfortable blaming themselves or trying to figure out what's wrong, and they come across very emotional, which is good. It's a good trait. And then the other one is completely unwavering. Not that they're not affected, but it doesn't show up on the outside. But if you ask them, hey, do you feel bad that your wife is crying? They'll say, yeah, I do. And that's like the extent of it. Or if they're really a negative, they might say, I do, but I feel like she cries for everything, right? And so that's obviously incredibly dismissive, and then she feels even worse, for example. And this kind of feeling, it's not that they think something's wrong with you. At this point, it really doesn't matter what they think. How you think about yourself is really important. You have to believe that no matter how they treat you or how they behave, it has nothing to do with who you are as a person. The mistake a lot of people make with an avoidant is they think the way they treat you is a reflection of your worth. It's not. And the more you believe that it's not, the better the relationship is going to be, but also your mental health. The next one is if your partner does change or make progress, you'll be suspicious and don't trust it. I'm sorry to pick on you, fearful avoidance, but this is a you typical issue. I don't really see much anxious preoccupied do this. Some do, but it's pretty rare. If you're a fearful avoidant, almost all of you guys do this. Not all of you, but definitely a lot of you. Your partner is changing and making some progress, and now you're picking it apart and you're thinking it's not real. Some anxious preoccupied do this as well, but they don't do it in a way where they think it's not real. Like, they don't think their partner is tricking them. They feel like it's too good to be true for their life. So fearful avoidants, on the other hand, believe that their partner is like plotting. Some of them might actually think like this is just a ruse, or this is a plan, or it's not real. they think it's more like actual malice, some of them, not all of them. And then some of them think it's not that it's malicious, but it's just people don't change. People are, you can't trust them. So even if they don't mean anything good or bad by it, progress is nothing. And so it's different. Anxious, preoccupied, they want to believe it, and on the outside they do, but inwardly they don't. So they start picking fights, and it's because they believe they don't deserve it. A little bit different, okay? The next one is when you're anxious about other issues in your life, all that frustration that you feel about your relationship that you've been coping and, trying to hold on to, it also comes out. So now you're mad at your partner and you're mad at things in your life, and it makes it much more overwhelming for you, and you get incredibly confused and frustrated, and this makes sense. But it's important to manage this and communicate with yourself, with your therapist, and other people in your life what the issues are so that this doesn't happen, as well as being a little bit more open with your partner about the frustrations you have with them. That doesn't mean you crash out, but you can say it's really frustrating that you're so rigid, that I feel like I'm always compromising. I know you're compromising as well. I just want to let you know how it feels on my side. Just saying these types of things can take some of that heat off yourself. The next one is you make more visible effort than they do, and it's something that you have to constantly accept, but it's hard. I'm going to explain why this occurs. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying why, okay? The beginning couple months to years of a dismissive avoidant or a fearful that's leaning dismissive, their biggest struggle is trust. And that is not an active effort. It is a passive effort. And so you're not going to see it as often as yours. Yours is going to be, for example, some of y'all are, very emotional and you guys pick fights, which is fine. It's fine, but it's not healthy, right? And so you want to fix that one. That's an active effort. Some of y'all do the ultimatum thing. You guys know how I feel about that. I don't think it's healthy. You're working on that. That's great. It's active effort. Avoidants don't have to sit there, not yet. It's their next stage. But the first stage is not them sitting there, okay, I pulled away, let me stop doing that. That's not the first one. The first one is trust. And that one is passive, and that one takes a lot longer. The other ones, they're really hard, but they happen much more quickly, even though they're way more challenging. Trust is the first one. And that one's the longest one, but it's the most fundamental one. Because once they trust you, they do believe that changing is worth it, okay? The last one is you feel like you care. And you feel like maybe you care more than them, but you know they care about you. You just wish they could show it more. And this one is frustrating because it's like you know that it's not true, but your mind says, okay, you care more. But you know that's not the issue, so you wish that they could just show it more, and that makes you more frustrated. So let's go ahead and summarize, and we'll wrap it up. You feel like something's wrong with you because you tend to blame yourself, and your partner tends to be unwavering of emotions, and so this makes it much more prominent. Simple to say, not easy to do, okay? It's really important that you don't take what your partner does personally. The next one is if your partner does change or make progress, it's hard for you to believe it. The third one is if you're anxious about other issues in your life, the anxiety that you've been holding back about your partner kind of comes out as well. The next one is you make more visible effort than they do in the beginning, and that's frustrating. Your effort in the beginning is more active, theirs is more passive. And the last one is you feel that they care about you and they know that they care, but you wish it was more obvious because sometimes you feel like you care more. I hope this video is helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.